1963, Bob Dylan, Freewheelin'. The front cover of Bob Dylan's Freewheelin' album featured simply a photo of Dylan seen walking with Susie Rotolo, regarded widely as Dylan's muse. The picture was taken in 1963 when Dylan was on his ascent to his musical prime. The image connotes to the audience that the album is a very personal and honest account of Dylan's music, as the image portrays part of his personal life. 1967, The Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club. Featuring a congregation of different people, the cover for Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club is very vibrant and colourful. Regarded by many as one of the most iconic album covers in music history, Sgt. Pepper's is also widely believed to be one of the first examples of more modern and artistic album covers, as many of those prior to the Beatles were much more basic, whilst many albums simply did not have images on the covers. Contextually, the album cover was released at a time of great social and cultural progression, so the varied mixture of people, as well as the significant degree of colour within the image, both strongly connote the degree of liberation which was prominent during this time. Arguably the most iconic and well-known album cover of all time, this album featured Lennon, Starr, McCartney and Harrison all crossing Abbey Road in single file. The album cover, as well as Abbey Road itself as a geographical location, have both become synonymous with the British music industry. The image is intended to look as if a photographer has captured a normal day, with the people and vehicles on the road behind the band members. However, the band members walking in single file, which is clearly deliberate, helps to distract some of the attention onto the band. 1973, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. This album cover featured a ray of light entering a pyramid and then producing a spectrum of different colours. This is very simplistic as it was on a plain black background. The title also links closely to the image, as the word dark provides strong contrast to the image, which shows a pyramid producing a spectrum of light. Despite a vast array of different album covers, the artwork for The Dark Side of the Moon has now become instantly recognisable and is undoubtedly the band's most famous album cover ever. 1976, The Ramones. This is a very simple album cover, consisting solely of an image of the four Ramones, all stood up against a brick wall. The entire image is in grayscale, adding to the urban and rock tone which was synonymous with the band and their music. The four men are all pictured in black leather jackets and black denim jeans. The image strongly connotes the rock and roll image which the band were at the epicentre of during the 1970s. 1977, Fleetwood Mac, Rumours. The front cover for Fleetwood Mac's most famous album featured Mick Fleetwood and Stevie Nicks. The album, which contains many of the greatest of the band's tracks, in doing so also features two of the band's members who remained ever present despite a continually fluctuating lineup. Aesthetically, the image is very simple as it only features the two people on a plain background. 1979, Joy Division, Unknown Pleasures. Unknown Pleasures, Joy Division's most successful release, had an album cover featuring a black and white animated image of a sound wave. The cover is very simple but still equally as effective, primarily due to both its slickness and the effect of its plain black background. Following the death of Ian Curtis in 1980 and subsequent split of the band, the image has now become synonymous with the band and Curtis's work, and also occasionally features amongst the work of New Order, a band consisting of Joy Division's surviving members. 1979, The Clash, London Calling. The album cover for The Clash's London Calling LP featured bassist Paul Simonon splashing his guitar on the floor of the stage at the Palladium in New York in 1979. The album cover is thought to be an explicit reference to an album cover of Elvis Presley's, which features identical font in the same position as in London Calling. Similarly, Elvis is also pictured playing a guitar, whereas Simonon is pictured smashing a guitar. 1979, Madness, One Step Beyond. British ska group Madness's debut album, released in 1979 and entitled One Step Beyond, had a cover image which featured all 6 founding members of the group, all in a line, all leaning back slightly. The image adopts quite a slapstick tone, something which was prominent throughout the band's career. 1985, The Smiths, Meat Is Murder. This Smiths album cover showed an image of a soldier repeated 4 times, with the words Meat Is Murder written on the soldier's helmet. The album cover is not very colourful, with the only colours visible being very dark shades of green, grey and black. Furthermore, the repetition of the image 4 times also adds a different artistic element to the front cover, whilst also resembling the work of artist Andy Warhol, whose pop art often featured images repeated multiple times in the same piece of work. 1989, The Stone Roses, The Stone Roses. Designed by lyricist and lead guitarist John Squire, the album cover for the Stone Roses debut album was inspired by the work of artist Jackson Pollock. Simply featuring several different coloured paints scattered together, the artwork which featured on the front cover became synonymous with the 90s rave scene and also symbolised the paint which the band members used to attack a recording studio in Manchester in 1988. The artwork is very simple in that it consists solely of splattered paint, however it is equally as effective as it is now instantly recognisable as being related to the Stone Roses, as the Pollock style artwork spread, ultimately featuring on almost all of the band's work. 1991, Nirvana, Nevermind. Arguably one of the most iconic album covers in music history, the image of a small baby swimming naked in a swimming pool with a $5 note on a fishing line is now instantly recognisable to people all over the world. The band were part of the grunge scene which evolved in the US in the early 90s, and the cover image connotes this quite strongly, as the image of the baby with the money in the pool strongly connotes the heavy rock and roll theme which was synonymous with the grunge scene. 1994, Oasis, Definitely Maybe. The cover for Oasis's debut album, Definitely Maybe, featured brothers Liam and Noel Gallagher, as well as other bandmates including Bonehead, all of whom were in a lounge pictured alongside a large globe. The image is very simplistic and basic in terms of its layout and contents, however it is still equally as effective as it strongly connotes the Britpop and lad images, both of which were synonymous with the band's early work. These themes are conveyed primarily by the clothes which the band members are wearing, as they are dressed very casually in clothes which adhere strongly to the Britpop image. 1994, Blur, Parklife. The cover for Blur's Parklife is an image of two greyhounds with a yellow background. One of many iconic Blur album covers, this image is quite simple, yet still boasts a degree of obscurity and uniqueness. One way in which the album cover is effective is as a result of its relevance and suitability to the working class image connoted strongly by a majority of the songs within the album. 2002, The Streets, Original Pirate Material. The album cover for The Streets' original Pirate Material is one which relates very closely to the band, as well as their genre and many of their songs which feature on the album. The cover is an image of a block of flats which takes up almost the entirety of the image. This therefore adheres quite strongly to the conventions of UK garage, a movement which many people would say was pioneered by The Streets. Within the block of flats you can see that a small amount of the flats have their lights turned on, presumably deliberately in order to confirm to the reader that it is night time. Moreover, this cover also continues the very urban theme which appears present throughout almost all of the band's videos, as well as the cover for their second album, A Grand Don't Come For Free. 2004, The Streets, A Grand Don't Come For Free. Similarly to original Pirate Material, The Streets' second album, released 2 years later, also adheres quite strongly to the urban theme which was previously introduced by the band's name, as well as many of the videos, and finally, the album cover for their previous album. The cover is simply an image of a bus shelter. Similarly to the block of flats in original Pirate Material, the image of the bus shelter takes up a majority of the image. Therefore, with the continuation of the urban theme, it can be said that there are several similarities between both of the Streets' album covers. 2009, Kasabian, West Ryder Pauper Lunatic Asylum. The cover image for this album features all 4 of the band members, all dressed in very old-fashioned clothing, all staring at the camera. One band member is sat down, whilst the others congregate around him. Moreover, the word Kasabian can be seen in block red capitals at the bottom of the image. There is an undoubted degree of obscurity to this image, as it appears to bear no obvious relevance to any of the songs on the album or any of their previous work. In terms of the layout and concept of the image, it is quite ordinary, as it simply features the 4 band members stood next to each other. However, the costumes add a degree of obscurity. 2015, Primal Scream, Chaosmosis. The band's most recent album, Chaosmosis, featured a cover image which showed frontman Bobby Gillespie's face in amongst a vast array of multicoloured blocks. Furthermore, the S for Primal Scream could also be seen in the top right hand corner, whilst the word Chaosmosis is also visible in the bottom left corner of the cover. The image adheres strongly to the psychedelic theme which the band have always portrayed, particularly in Chaosmosis. Not venturing far from the realms of previous Primal Scream album covers, most notably that of Screamadelica, the image adheres strongly to the style of the band.